Welcome everybody, my name is Mark Bogos. Today I'm going to be talking to you about corporate performance management. CPM, it's a term that was described by Gartner back in the 1990s, and it was a term that I guess they brought together as they saw a trend in a lot of applications which were combining various methodologies and processes. So not your traditional BI tools which would provide reporting, but what it was doing was providing an additional substance around areas such as your budgeting, planning and forecasting, taking into consideration things such as your KPIs and what have you. And they saw this trend, and so what they did was they started to term what is today corporate performance management. So what is it? It's a number of applications which bring together various things. So for example, today we look at all of our businesses, no different to scope systems, where we may take some KPIs such as your revenue, your return on investment, or your overhead costs, and try and benchmark those to other organisations to see how well is the actual organisation doing. So some of these areas extend into different applications and bring in the data in from those applications to enable us to do that measurement and processing. One of the places which we see this being used quite often is where we have organisations that are actually going in to look at their quality systems and being able to track where they are from a quality perspective and also from a workflow perspective. So things such as your lean manufacturing and your Six Sigma are areas that the CPM tools actually lend themselves quite well to. So we've heard in our presentations today that there's a number of trends that have been happening in the 2020s. The first one, of course, is that data is the new gold. So we know that once you can take this information, you can actually start to use that information in a way to help enhance the business. The other area is how quickly you can get that information. So speed to market. It's a key way of actually bringing together information that can help you drive your decision making. And of course, that efficiency. So if you had the ability to sit back and look at those right KPIs and give those to the right people in the organisation, what that does, it helps with that benchmarking and that accountability as you move forward. And what we do at Scope Systems is we've walked into a lot of organisations. We see some what we call typical challenges. And one of those, I guess, is where we see a number of data sources that organisations are running. Your Pronto ERP, of course, but then we have organisations that run different things such as your CRMs or your production systems and other areas that contain information. And it's how do you bring that information to enable an individual to collect it all and report from the one data source. The other one is, of course, the spreadsheet. So we go into a lot of organisations and we're no different here at Scope. There's a number of organisations that are running various spreadsheets to help drive aspects of their business. But we all know that with these spreadsheets, we have a number of issues that do come along. Things such as your security, being able to take that spreadsheet and pass that on to others without really having a secure information share. We have the situation where people by accident don't sum up all the rows that they should. We have the information coming from data sources that are incorrect. And I guess all these workflows and processes that you get out of your spreadsheets are great, however, are limited at the same time. So at Scope Systems, we have a solution which is a cloud-based budgeting forecasting solution in Solver that helps bring all those challenges together and drive an outcome for our business. The other one is, of course, how do you bring together all this information into the one tool to then drive these decisions? And this is key when it comes to it. So we have excellent tools that we've heard about today around your Power BIs, your Click, etc., that your Cognos that drive good outcomes. But being able to bring those into the one area under the one database is actually part of the key. I'll call it the key to unlocking this information that's available in all our organisations. So today I really wanted to talk about how we at Scope bring together all of these areas into a solution, a CPM solution that I guess provides outcomes for various areas. So we all have our financial statements, we all have our operational reports. If you've got multiple companies, of course, that financial consolidation, even in a multi-currency perspective, is something which a lot of people find challenging. The budgeting cycle, and I know, this is something that we do once a year, but a lot of organisations also go into a forecasting model, and that is a periodic monthly forecast that we sit back. And remember, it's not just financial data that we're working with here, it's also operational forecasting too. So how many production units are we looking to provide as we move forward? And taking all those and putting those into a workflow that enables the business to start to operate in an optimal form. So what I'm going to do today is really just spend a few minutes to talk about some of the key features of Solver and the application that we have here. This example is a mining services example where we're talking about a number of different sheets that can be passed between departments within the organisation to drive the outcomes we're looking for. So, for example, in this particular case, we have assumptions, and those assumptions lead to other areas. So, for example, we may have the assumption that GST is 10%, and that's set in stone. People can't change that, except, of course, the administrators as we go along. And each of these sheets feed each other as we go through that budgeting cycle to give us the outputs that we're looking for. So I'm going to show you the product now. The key area is that control. And so having the ability to take the process and work through handing out various things to the contributors of the budget and seeing where they're at on that cycle is quite important. The other one is also to be able to provide those deadlines. So when should this be complete? Because everyone's always working to these deadlines to drive the outcomes that you're looking for in your business. And of course, being able to sit back and make sure that these business rules are being followed and people are doing the right thing to drive the outcomes. And what you'll find is these are the building blocks that can give us the opportunity to then look at how can we use these in things such as your QA processes that the business may have. So I'm going to jump into a little demo now with Solver, and here we're going into the process manager. So the process manager itself is a nice visual. This is quite easy. There's a number of processes that we've already created here. These processes, you can go through and select the right one. You can see its name, of course, and do various things such as sort. The other thing you're seeing as we're scrolling through is the progress of the process. So in this case here, our budgeting process is at 12% complete, or 1 out of the 8 tasks are complete. And so we're having a look at this process, and very simply we can say, okay, now we've finished our strategies and goals. They've been finalised by the executive team. And of course, you can send an update to various people at this point. So the visualisation, you can see nice and easy. It's providing that we're now at a 25% progress. And if I wanted to, I can also change this and add additional flows in the process itself. So in this particular case, I've decided right at the end, what we're going to do is we're going to send the forms to everyone so that we know we're getting set ready for next year. Now you can see it's a very simple graphical tool here. We're going in, you can assign assignees, you can set their due date on when we feel that this process needs to be complete. And once again, nice simple way. So the application starts to work two ways. It's collecting data from the individual working through, and you can see it's a nice web-based front end here, but also saving that information for the rest of the business. So then we go into our budget cycle, and we all go through this, as I said earlier. So these budgets, what we have here is we set, as I said earlier, your assumptions at the start. Those assumptions get set in concrete for the rest of the organisation, set by the administrator. We then pass that on to various departments. We make sure that data is security controlled. And this is important. You don't want payroll information, for example, leaking out or being passed to the wrong department. So these security controls are actually part of the application. And of course, that easy visualization that we saw earlier. So I'm going to jump back into the application right now. And this is assignments. So I've logged in. These are my assignments. I have my personnel budget that I'm going to be working through. So the first thing I do is I jump in, gets the information from the cloud, and we can see here are my assumptions. So those assumptions are very Excel-like, these tabs I should say, are very Excel-like. You can see that the information's captured for each of the areas, the allocations, some of the periods are already set for us. So I'm just going straight in. And in Solver, generally we look at anything in yellow is something that we can pretty much update. So in this case, I see here that I'm going to be hiring a new person. And that date I'm going to change. In this case, I'm going to push that back to June. And so at the same time, I've decided let's bring on another person as well. So I'll just easily type that in. We can put someone's individual name or any information there because it's budgetary, of course, at this stage. Selecting that they're going to start in May, how many hours they're going to spend, and what are we going to be paying them from a salary perspective. In this case, and all of these forms are configurable. We're setting up that we'll give them an increase in February, so that will be a 5% increase. Of course, that could be percentage or dollars, depending on the way you want to go about it. What that's done is that's populated now all the information that we've captured in the sheet. And of course, as part of that, we can now start to do our planning. So the application, of course, has put the sums in there. At this stage, I'm also having a look and I'm going to get one of our part-time people in May, give them also another increase, which is, of course, made a change to their salary at a point in time and provided that same update as we had earlier. I'll save the information. That's now saved successfully. And what we have now is that this information is now being stored in the database. And so that's an important aspect. So it gives us the ability to ensure that data quality is there for everyone else in the organisation to see what I've just done. Forecasting. So of course, we can easily set a budget right at the start, and then we move to a forecast, and also bringing those actuals in from the likes of Pronto to say, how are we going compared to actual? And all these scenarios, as we go through, are stored in the system. So traditionally, Pronto had a letter that was used. So a lot of customers used the 0, 1, 2, 3. To say this is our forecast, this is last year, this is the current budget, and so on. What we have, of course, in Pronto today is we have the ability to go through and have various budget scenarios with the new 770 version. However, with Solver, we have those scenarios and those forecasts that are also available to us. The other one, I guess, is the ability to look at trends. So we may see a cyclic cycle where certain products are being sold during the Christmas period or over different periods. We're seeing an upswing or a downswing on various information coming through. And of course, those visual indicators is quite important. So I'm going to jump back into Solver now and have a look at departmental forecast. In this case, I'm having a look at my legal fees, and you can see all the actuals, all that information is coming from the general ledger, being populated ready for me. And then I'm looking at the last 3 months of the calendar year in this case. And having a look at this, I've said, hang on a sec, we do have a change here, and very easy to be able to update these. You can see my visual indicators. Unfortunately, they're pointing down in this particular case, but those are pretty simple to see where we are tracking and how we are tracking. And these sheets are set specific for each individual. So we have those building blocks an ability to do that. KPI reporting. So as we move forward, I guess we have the standard operational budgeting that occurs, but at the same time, a number of reports are also created within the application itself. And these reports, of course, you can utilize the likes of Scope systems to help you with those, or a lot of customers also build these reports themselves. And so the ability to search for the right report, finding those KPI reports that are critical for your business, doing that benchmarking that I said earlier, having a look at some of those trends, and also being able to drill down and see why are these trends happening in such a way. So let me jump back into the application here. So you can see we've got a number of reports that have been built over many periods, and with the search availability here, I can see my tree hierarchy and simply go into, let's have a look at all the sales reports, sales analysis reports, or I can go in and say, let's have a look for customer reports. And so that's brought up a couple of customer reports, and I see, okay, I'll have a look at the customer 360 report. Now this goes away, gets the information, of course, and you can change your parameters at the top there. But a nice graphical report showing some of those trends and some of those areas. I can change the entity and run the parameter on any one of those entities. I won't do that right now. Or I can have a look at the information. I'll just quickly talk about comments. So comments in this particular report are actually being developed based on the data that's captured. And so these comments are dynamic comments that we can provide for board packs and those sorts of things. So that's a nice customer report. I'm going to jump in just to show you a different type of report. Here's a sales by product. So I've done my quick search, looking for that report itself, and here we go. So you can see straight away, here's my year-to-date revenue on each of the key products. See my trends, being able to then have a look at certain things. And of course, at any one of these points, I can say, okay, this information here doesn't look right. Let me just drill down and see what this is made up of. So what is that $84,000 made up? And here are all my transactions. So nice, simple way of actually fetching that information, being able to drill down and see the information. All security controlled, of course, as we go through the application itself. I can export that out to Excel, which is a handy feature, of course. At the same time, once we've exported that to Excel, we can set up the parameters and have that in this product actually position where different types of users can actually access what we call static reports. So those static reports are not dynamic, don't have the ability to go in and make changes, but at the same time gives those users the ability to see the information that they need to. So the development tool, and I know a lot of the audience has been using Excel for many years, and it does actually use Microsoft Excel to develop reports. So I'll show you what that means. Once again, we've gone into our forecast report. There's a couple of things here. The first one is comments. So we can easily add comments, and you see here, this is a comment sheet within the report, and I'm saying that this is a good forecast. Basically putting my commentary there, and of course I'll press save. I won't do that. And we've now got that comment. So anyone coming into this report can see that, and I can share that report with other individuals, as I was saying earlier, to drive the outcomes we're looking for. So it's a simple click of the share, and off that goes. And of course, given they have permission, they can see certain information. The other one is, as I was saying, the report designer. So I'm now going to jump into run the report designer. This opens up Excel, so it's Office 365, and it comes into the BI designer tool. So what you're seeing here is the actual Excel plugin is available. It is now Excel. There's my tabs. I can make any sort of changes here, for example, color. But you can see the information is Excel sums, which everyone's used to. So I can sit back, I can make these changes, do these updates. And as soon as I press save on this Excel spreadsheet, it straight away goes back up to the cloud, provides the end user an update, and all the users, of course, have the latest tool. Now, of course, you do need an admin user to be able to do what I just showed there. Which brings me to a case study, and this is a typical case study in our world at Scope Systems. But at the same time, in this particular customer, they had a need which was that they were using a GL-only budgeting process. So it was always at a GL line level. They'd actually gone and purchased a number of new organisations, companies that came in to the business. So there were 3 new company entities that were added in. And as part of that, they wanted to consolidate, and they wanted to design their own consolidated reports. Now, of course, as part of the world we're all in, they were also running various systems, different systems, different versions of systems, and looking to a cloud solution to consolidate that information and drive the outcomes that they were looking for. We were able to accommodate that with Solver, and part of the solution stack was the ability to provide KPIs and dashboards utilising Power BI with that tight integration that Power BI has to the Solver data warehouse. The end user reports were actually set up in a way that enabled us to provide a board pack for the individuals. And we had power users that were able to actually develop their own reports from there on as well. And so those reports were written internally, and they could do things such as various variance analysis. And we had not only the budgeting cycles, but we looked at some sales modelling as well as looking at their HR side of things too. So quite a sophisticated setup, and the tools allowed us to bring all that together to drive the outcomes that the customer was looking for. So that's the presentation for today. So hopefully what I've done is I've shown a bit of a snapshot into some of the world that is corporate performance management and some of the tools that are available here at Scope Systems. So I look forward to hearing from all our customers moving forward, and I thank you very much for your time. Thank you.